I guess I can just hold it here, and then
Got
you guys can stand on the left and right of me, and I can just.
How are we going to hand it around?
I'll just hold it.
He'll hold it, and then we can.
I will just hold it. So you stand here, and then I can just kind of like do that. Look at that. Oh, look at that.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
You switch since I'm taller.
No, because I'm not going first. You're talking first.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's talking first.
You can slide over.
Just
a little
go.
bit.
All right, awesome. My name is Ty Schweer. I'm a senior in the digital art pathway. I plan on attending the University of Nebraska at Lincoln to major in sports media communications.
I am Kenzie Turman, a senior at Sandy Creek, and I plan on majoring in business marketing and minoring in graphic design at Hastings College.
My name's Austin Wilson, and I'm a senior at Sandy Creek High School. I'm in the digital graphic pathway at Sandy Creek, and I also am going to South Dakota School of Mines for majoring in computer sciences.
All right, so our career pathway project this year was The Big Story.
What is the big story? The big story is Instagram videos. It's more like a newscast for our school, and it basically just informs what the school's doing for the community and what we're doing here. And there were some different things that we were going to do before this. It was we were planning to do a podcast actually, and we were told that, I mean, who really listens to podcasts our age? Okay, our age. And so we were like, okay, let's do something we actually listen to. So we were thinking everyone's on Instagram. I mean, I'm on Instagram all the time. So we changed it to podcast to an Instagram story because we thought everyone could actually see it. And so we just took over the original Sandy Creek Instagram story because we didn't want to just start brand new. We already had followers on our Sandy Creek one, so we just wanted to keep on building off of that and make everyone know that's there.
One of the first things we had to do is we had to use the gallery feature because on Instagram there's a 1-minute time limit on all videos, and we wanted our videos to be a little longer than that. We felt that we couldn't squeeze all our information into a minute, so that's how we got around that. And one thing our mentors really focused on was creating content that we would consume, and that's why we didn't do the podcast. We wanted to do something that we would consume individually, so that's why we went with the Instagram story.
Okay, so this is the logo that we had for The Big Story, and I'm in charge of making the graphic designs and logos. Branding and promoting, that's what the logo is for, and some examples are Nike, which would be the Nike sign, just do it, so you know, and then Apple products is just an apple. So design influences, we wanted a sports themed logo because they are talking more about like ESPN shows, kind of like that, and it kind of just altered more into Sandy Creek, like what's going on in Sandy Creek. And I do all of my designs mainly in Illustrator, and we chose the colors that go with the school, so red, white, black, gray.
So our mentors. So we had 4 mentors, and one was Taylor Siebert, who's here with us today, Eric Good, all good, Austin Penfield, and Sarah Brune. And they were great mentors, honestly. They gave a, not saying that because he's here, but but we did a lot of stuff at Strive. One day we were done with the big story, so they actually gave us challenges to do throughout the day. So this one time we were given we brought our GoPro to film stuff, and he said, well, since you guys are done, you have 2 hours to make a video, and it was, you only can use a GoPro. And so we filmed, and it was actually, we did a playground review for just for fun, and it was actually pretty good, and so it was pretty fun. We also got an opportunity to Strive State Volleyball, so we also got job opportunities with them, and that was a great experience. It was a lot of fun seeing how it actually worked in the professional field. And Austin Penfield was her mentor, but she also helped all of us, and it really improved. I also do some graphics with Photoshop, and it just really improved all the stuff I was doing, and I know she got helped a lot too. And so yeah, it was just
So yeah, we were up in Henderson a lot. We hit our minimum number of visits like the first week in November. We had been up there, the suggested number. So I mean, we spent a lot of time up there, and they've done amazing stuff to help us. With the marketing, the planning, everything that we do, we go through them, and we make sure that they think it's a good idea. And it's done really good things for the story itself, because like the first episode we kind of did on our own, and you watch that compared to the next two, and it's a little rough. So they definitely helped tune things out and get things figured out for us. So they did a lot of great stuff with us this year, and we're really grateful to have them as our mentors.
They also signed us up for this little app called Slack, and it's kind of just a way to like check for feedback. And so like we have base camps here, but it's their base camp, so it's just called Slack. And I always like sent my graphics there to see how it looked. So for football, I had a graphic for like a player spotlight just to fill it up and everything. I always ask them. They send it back and tell me some reviews and what I could fix. And so I kept, and it's just a great way to talk back with your mentors and everything. So I thought it was a great idea, and we had a lot of fun with that.
So the software we used like virtually the full spectrum of Adobe products. Premiere Pro, that was our cookie cutter video editing software. This is where all the footage is put in, chopped up, edited, and cleaned up. And that's the final thing we use before we put it out on Instagram. After Effects, that's kind of the fancy motion stuff. That's what Austin used to make the introduction. We'll go over that later, but that's the fancy motion stuff you see. Adobe Audition, that's something we started using right about the third episode, and it does audio editing, and it's amazing. Like, we had no idea what it was at first, and we started using it, and it tremendously increases the quality of audio, and that's been a great product. Photoshop and Illustrator have been all the graphics. Kenzie uses those. She uses Illustrator a lot more than Photoshop, but I mean, we use the full spectrum of Adobe products, and we're very grateful to have them because I know they're not cheap.
Okay, and we were pretty limited in like equipment this year, but we used it all to what we could, and so we had 2 cameras. One was the Canon. We mostly used the Canon. We also had the GoPro. We also had the Handycam, which is this one right here. The tripod we always used, and microphones were pretty important because voice quality we always needed, and just our regular iPhones. So it just really helped us use what we had, really, because not everywhere you're going to have everything, all high-tech stuff. So it just really prepared us for that too.
And like a lot of stuff, like it was just need-based. Like we were doing an interview with Coach Noonan for the volleyball team, and we didn't have our microphone set up down there, so I pulled out my phone and I did a voice memento. And I mean, we edit up the audio so it sounds better. But yeah, we used to use everything at our disposal, everything we can. And yeah, I've used my phone way more than I should have on these videos. But pre-production. So what pre-production is pre-production is all the planning and the filming. It's everything that happens before you start editing. And most of our pre-production does happen at Strive headquarters up in Henderson. That is an actual storyboard. It's extremely rough. This is for the marching band episode. As you can see, it's just a list of the shots we want. Somewhere in there we have like talk to Baxter. That's our interview. And we have a few interview questions. Like, it's extremely rough at first, and it's just everything that we could throw into this video. We have it laid out so we like know what we're looking at, and then we'll eventually like focus our ideas a little more and like plan out the actual what the shots are going to be, what the order is going to be. And but this is what all our ideas start at. The filming, sometimes we'll actually steal footage from journalism. They're at the events, and sometimes we're in events. I know the first one, we did Spirit Week, so like football game, we couldn't be there, we were playing. But so a lot of the stuff we film. Otherwise, if anybody in the community has footage to give to us, I know that's how the marching band episode went. I got footage from parents, which was pretty awesome that we used that. And but otherwise, we will film most of the stuff at these events. You skipped one.
I skipped one.
All right. So post-production is everything once you start editing. This is all the lining up your clips, everything, lining up the clips, everything, getting the audio levels right, all of that sort of stuff. We had a ton of issues with this at first because Instagram is super picky, so I think there was like a list of like 10 different things I had to do when I edited the clips, and if one of them was off, the entire video didn't work, and it had to go back and I had to reset all the settings and export it all again, and it was extremely time consuming trying to figure those out. So that was huge. Austin Penfield was awesome about that. He knew every single little thing we had to do. He had them all down for us, and that was the only reason we could get any of them out. But there was the 59-second time limit. We talked about that a little. Instagram does not let you go over a minute on your clips, so our videos are usually about 2.5 minutes. So we'll usually do like a 30-second intro and then 2 1-minute segments on their own for the gallery feature. The swipe left, we figured out early some people aren't Instagram savvy, and they didn't realize why the intro said the big story is school spirit and had the whole like music and the intro stuff, and then it was over. They couldn't figure it out. So I made a little graphic thing in Premiere Pro and threw that in to let you know, hey, you swipe left and there's actually more. So that was a huge problem. That's what the arrow graphic is. That was the entire series of my graphics experience. I'm not very good. That's what these two do.
So this was our intro, and we're just going to play it really quick, and then I can talk through it. So all this was made in Adobe After Effects. So we just really wanted to get across that we're sharing, informing, and influencing, because we're trying to get out to the community, like what we're trying to do, what this story is actually about, and we just need to have our logo and what we're all about. And it took a while to move. Like everything that moves is like called a keyframe, and it's really difficult to move everything. And so it was pretty challenging, but it got done.
Maybe. Oopsie-daisy. Oh no. Okay, so this is an This is a real quick example of one of the videos. So we could play that as well. So this is from the marching band episode.
After the first parade,
that's where we like to film. It's in the library. It's comfortable.
We also got an exclusive interview with the band teacher, Mr. Baxter.
This was one of my favorite ones to edit because we did a lot of experimental stuff with the GoPro that you guys get to see. But this was a lot of stuff. I wasn't here for this film. We had extra people come and help, but we filmed them practicing. This was like before we went to Harvest Harmony. That was my favorite shot. I still love that shot on the trombone. It was a pain in the neck to set up, but it's definitely my favorite shot from the whole series. But we filmed a lot of like the practice and the rehearsal, and then the next slide over was all the actual like competition footage. It was them actually marching full uniform and everything. And so as you can see, it's 57 seconds, so we're just under that time limit because you have to keep it under that minute. And that's the arrow graphic. That's how fancy I get with graphics. That's why I don't do them.
Okay.
You want to be the clicker?
Okay.
So this year we went to the Strive Fall Conference, which was at Henderson High School, and there were 8 schools there, and we each split into teams of about 2 to 4, and our goal was to make an Instagram story, and it had to be about something that was going on in the school, something that happened in the school that was interesting. So we decided to do our volleyball season recap, and if you go to the next slide. Here are just a couple pictures of some of the slides that we made. There were 7 total, but these are just 3. And when you make stories that have more than one image in it, you want to have them be unified, and you want to have the same design kind of throughout all of them. So as you can see, there's like gray bars that have gradients on them, similar font. And then Austin did the pictures, editing the colors and stuff, and you can tell him how you did that.
So I usually do Photoshop. She sticks with the Illustrator. I'm not very good with it, so I just do Photoshop. And actually, Austin Penfield helped me a lot with this. I watched one of his Zoom sessions, which is just FaceTime, just with a group. And so he taught us how to cut out people and like change the colors of the background. It was really handy in this. And so I just wanted to change the background, just give every single one a slightly different effect, but still make them all together. And so, yeah. One thing they did stress is trying to make, so what we did was we changed a journalism actual story, and we wanted to change the content to reach someone else. So this is all from a journalism story that we were submitting for state, all of it. So it was just a simple story that we had to make it something bigger.
Okay, so I made this graphic right here, and it's supposed to promote the big story. This was before we even had any stories out. And I put this on Snapchat, Instagram. I don't think it got shared on Facebook, but it's just simply saying, oh, hey, we're doing this, and you should watch it, and it's going to come out on this day. And it's not a serious, like, they're not doing a serious type of show, so that's why I have these cutouts from Spirit Week. So, and I also made this on Adobe Illustrator.
Okay, so a few goals we had with our mentors were we wanted to double our followers. So we're actually pretty close to that. We need like 20, maybe 15 left. And 20 views per video were easily. We should have went a lot higher because a lot of people are watching these and it's really nice to see. And having them on time, that was one thing we stressed really bad this year. And we actually have been doing pretty well on that part. And it's just
until this last one.
Until this last one.
That was supposed to be out last week, but we instead changed what the topic was going to be over. Instead of a preview, it's going to be a review of the 1X. So this is the only one that we're really not on time.
That's why I'm here.
Come to get us in line. We're almost done. So what we've learned is Kenzie's definitely learned how to help promote this for us. Me and Austin have done a great job trying to learn how to brainstorm the ideas. Eric has been a huge help on what ideas are good, what ideas we should not include. How to use the storyboards. As you saw the messy storyboard, we use a nicer looking one eventually, but we definitely have learned how to use those and how to focus our ideas. That's again the messy storyboard. That's not focused at all. We take those ideas and we put them into a clean image that in our heads that we want to see put out there. So I mean that's been huge to focus our ideas. And that is it.
Any questions?
We are open for questions. Maybe.
Can you explain why the video was square?
The video is square because the dimensions in Instagram are 1080 by 1080. Most videos we make are 1920 by 1080, which is your wide shots. They were square. That was another big thing because all the footage is also 1920 by 1080, so it crops out your shots. You have to be very careful about what you're using because it constantly moves your images around, and figured that one out the first episode too. I put them into the 1080 by 1080 and it gets rid of things I wanted in the shot. So that was a big thing, was the sizing. That was an issue.
What are the biggest challenges you face in producing your show? And again, maybe talk a little bit more about the decision to go from podcast to Instagram.
Well, so the podcast, we wanted to talk about sports, and so
Professional sports, and like again, we stress like no one, like who's going to listen to two teenage boys talking about professional sports, and so like that was a challenge, and so we just kept on thinking like we wanted to get a message across, but like we also want we don't just want to talk too. So we just changed. We wanted to do something with Kenzie so she could put some graphics in, advertise it, and so we just changed it so it'd be kind of like a newscast, but still have some sports and everything else around in the school. So we just wanted to reach the community and tell them like what we're doing, which is pretty important. And I think setting things all up was a huge challenge. I mean, I talked about it a little bit, but yeah, those settings are super picky. And getting all that edited in the right way so that it doesn't freak out and get mad at me when I try to throw it on Instagram, that was a big problem. I think it was kind of a problem at first trying to find where we were going to fit Kenzie into this, and I think we really figured it out on the last one. If you saw the volleyball episode, we had her make a lot more graphics. It looked awesome. I love the way that one turned out. That one is probably the cleanest one of all of them, and that was definitely something that we really couldn't find at first. At first, she had one graphic, and that was all she did in the first episode. We definitely found her a better fit later in the series after we figured things out. Kenzie?
Yeah, definitely the biggest struggle I had was making sure that they all were unified and finding the correct pictures that they wanted in their episodes and making sure that it was that 1080 by 1080 or the different size for having it on the Instagram stories or on Snapchat. So that was probably my biggest problem, was making sure that they all fit where they needed to go.
Any more questions?
Maggie.
So do you think you guys will continue into the same pathway next year with the same mentor and project?
Pathway, yes. Mentors, hopefully. Project, I don't know. We haven't really decided yet what we're going to do for sure, but this could continue into next semester easily. We could definitely expand on it, improve it a lot, but I'm definitely going to be in the same pathway, and hopefully Strive will take us back as mentees. I'm not sure anymore, but hopefully they do.
Yeah. I plan on staying in the same mentorship. I really love working on Strive. Really helps me out with just the whole business aspect and how to get all done in time. I'm planning to do the big story. We'll see where that goes. And yeah.
I plan on also staying in the business pathway and going to Strive. And honestly, I liked the big story a lot, and I want to keep doing it, but I also want to see if we could come up with another project as well and just do both of them, see where it goes. So.
How do you target your audience, and how do you adapt to their needs?
So, I know my mom isn't really on Instagram a lot, but like, I tell her, and she like shows all of her friends and everything, and they actually have Instagram, and so they actually follow so we just try to target the community because we want the community to be with Sandy Creek still. I mean, we have 5 towns, so we want them to all be together, and so we just want it to be consumable. I mean, my grandma has Instagram, so like everyone goes on Instagram, okay? And so we just wanted everyone to know, like, Sandy Creek is doing a lot of stuff, and we want you to be with it. So yeah.
I mean, we try to like make sure the people that would be involved that would like to create, like to consume the content. Like I know when we were doing the marching band one, I was talking to marching band parents a lot, saying, "Yeah, we're doing this. This is going to be up on Instagram next week. You'll be able to watch this. It's all about the marching band, what we've been doing. You'll be able to see your kids on there." So I mean, a lot of it's just been like ear to mouth, talking to people in the community. And so far, I mean, we've got a really positive response. Everybody that's been watching it says they enjoy it, and not many people have said anything negative about it. Hopefully that'll stay the same, but we've been working on it. So yeah, it's just about getting it out to the community and making sure it's something that they would be interested in and not just another video online.
I'd love to hear from your peers, your classmates. Did they watch it? Did they enjoy it?
How many people have seen The Big Story? Hey, that's not bad. Did you guys like it? Which you guys... Certain episodes stand out to anybody? Maggie.
I like the Spirit Week one.
The Spirit Week one. That one was a little rough, but I mean that one was a lot of fun to do. We had a lot of goofy pictures with all the dress up days, and that one was definitely fun to do, but it was a little rough. But any other episodes that somebody really liked?
I just like the difference that you guys highlight both sports and non-sports, because some kids don't like doing sports, so it's good to highlight what they're doing.
That was one thing we did. We wanted it to be like the full community. Like we haven't found many community-based stories outside of Sandy Creek, but eventually we were planning on like opening it up to those. I know when we were planning, the original first story was going to be over old trustees in Clay Center. We figured that one was going to be a little difficult to do. Spirit Week would be easier and probably more interesting. So it is more than sports. Like the original idea for sports stuff, we decided we want to do more than that because there's a lot more to Sandy Creek than just sports. There's a lot of good things about it and a lot of cool things going on right now. Like the next one is about 1X, so that one hopefully will be out soon. But we're working on that one. And yeah, it's a lot more than just sports because there's a lot more interest in this area than sports.
Did you guys like my puns on some of them?
The jokes, we tried really hard on those jokes.
I loved the jokes.
The jokes were good. Austin came up with one of them by himself. Awesome. Thank you.